Thank you everyone for joining. It's lunchtime, so everyone has sacrificed their lunch for me. Thank you. Um, so the agenda and objective of today's speed learning is about Calypso presentation and overview. I will try to cover the basics of Calypso. I'm sure many of us over here who have participated don't know what Calypso is or how Calypso is working and what do we do as consultants at our respective clients when we are working on Calypso. So I will try to cover very basic concepts of Calypso in very simple terms, nothing fancy or no financial jargons. I will try to avoid all of that. And let's say everyone should be able to understand at the end of the presentation. Okay, so let's begin. I think my screen. Okay. 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 So firstly, we'll understand what is Calypso, what is the purpose of Calypso, and why do we use it. So Calypso, it works like a financial tool, and uh, let's say it's an ocean of multiple fishes which can swim in Calypso. We have different financial products which Calypso supports, and the main function of Calypso um, is to help facilitate all the smooth functioning and management of all these instruments or the fishes that we are talking about. It acts like a tool to process the trades that are coming. Um, uh, it helps in risk management, in settlements, and things like that. You will see the detailed description about what is Calypso and why it is used in this purpose and usage column mentioned on the screen. Many investment banks use Calypso for their day-to-day operations and, as I mentioned, to reduce risk and for compliance, to stay compliant with the financial world. Um, Now, how Calypso is defined or divided, basically, there are three parts of Calypso. Or any financial instrument, if you consider. There is front office, there is middle office, and there is back office. Now, we all might have heard about these terms, but it's very difficult to remember or to explain to someone who doesn't know what these terms are. So I have tried to divide it into very simple terms. So as I mentioned, what is Calypso? It's a financial platform and plays an important role for financial institutions and investment banks. Now, what is a front office? So let's consider front office as the face of the business. Yes, I have mentioned the definition and the financial terms of it. Now, if I have to explain in very simple terms, let's say we go to a bakery and we want to order a croissant. We go at the front desk and we ask for a croissant or a pain au chocolat. So the person who is representing the bakery at the front desk would act as the front office. So it will act as the face of the business. It will try to take your order. It will interact. That is client interaction when it comes to Calypso. And it will tell you what are the prices of the bakery products that they have. And then you have to decide if you have to buy this particular product or you have to go to a next bakery. So front office in Calypso acts the same way. It's the face of the business. It will capture the details and the requirements of the customer in real time. It will monitor what are the requirements. The users of front office are generally traders who are responsible in the decision making of in real time what the orders have been placed. Um, And the front office also helps in to keep the information up to date as per the market conditions and risks. So that is the role of front office. And this definition can be used for any application, be it Calypso or Murex or any other financial application. The next would be middle office. Now, what is a middle office? Um, let's consider if front office is the face of the business, middle office is the brain of the business. So all the important decisions and processing, all the activities that a brain is responsible to perform is done by the middle office. Let's say you are in the bakery. Okay, you have ordered for a pain au chocolat. Now, what is middle office? Consider the kitchen of the bakery as the middle office, where they have all the ingredients, the chef who is preparing the croissant or pain au chocolat for you. So that acts like a middle office. In Calypso, middle office is capable of the risk analysis, the valuation of the trades, um, the as I mentioned, the risk and validation of what the orders have received. So I have placed an order. The middle office will decide, okay, we have to prepare this in a proper manner in order to deliver it. Now, how it should be prepared, it's the headache of the chef and the people who are working in the middle office. So this is the, yes, if you want a specific definition, it's mentioned on the screen. You can always go through it, but I would like to explain in very simple terms so it's easier to always remember how a front office, middle office, and back office works. So this is how middle office works. Now we move on to the back office. We saw the face of business, we saw brain of the business, and now we have the backbone of the business. So all three components are very useful. You cannot just have face of the business. You cannot just have backbone of the business. All three components are equally important. Now, what does the backbone do? You went to the bakery, you purchased a croissant, the chef is preparing in the kitchen for you, and what does the back office, the backbone does? It stores all the inventory required to make the croissant. It will have all the invoices, the accounting information. Okay, if the customer has paid the right amount, if the customer has given tips or not, if he has purchased or he has given the full money for the product or not, etc. So in Calypso, what does back office does? It handles the settlement processes. What are settlements? If the payments have been done or not. Once the payments have been done, how do we deliver the products after the payment? Accounting is done. Record keeping is done, which is invoices and all the payment slips and everything. So this is how front, middle, and back office works in Calypso. Anytime during the presentation, if you think you have questions or if I'm going too fast, feel free to interrupt. But major questions, I plan to take it at the end of the session. Okay, now integration of front, middle, and back office in Calypso. So as I mentioned, Calypso acts as a platform which integrates these modules. It so there is a very seamless communication and it's real time. It happens in milliseconds or you will not even understand. Order is placed. It's not like a classic bakery when order is placed and you have to wait for 5 minutes till your croissant comes in your hand, then you pay. It's not like that. You book a trade, the trade is processed, and when the time has come, the trade gets settled. So this is how front to middle to back office functioning in Calypso is working. This is the definition mentioned over here, how real-time Calypso handles the integration of all three modules. Nextly, now we'll see how Calypso is divided and how a classic trade, when it enters into Calypso, how Calypso processes it, and what is the role and functions of different life cycles in Calypso. So imagine that Calypso is the central hub. It's the base, and it receives information from all directions. And now it has information from everywhere. Now it has to arrange it in a particular order and deliver it in the end. So this is Calypso, and these are the modules of Calypso. We have trade entry, that is when we place the order. We have processing and risk management, which the middle office is doing, understands and prepares our croissant. Life cycle management and reporting, the back office, which handles, okay, we have the order, we have the risk calculated, and now we have to deliver our final product and settle the product. Now we'll see each component one at a time. There is trade entry, that is when we have placed the order. The traders are the key users of front office. So the traders will input the orders, the transactions into Calypso. They will mention whether they have to buy a stock, they have to sell a product, and things like that. Then we have processing. In processing, we'll see how the order that has been placed, if all the details mentioned are correct or not, if they are in compliance with Calypso standards and the client standards. And then it pushes, okay, if the information is correct, okay, we are happy to serve a croissant to the customer, then we push it to the risk management. What does the risk management do? It will calculate all the risks. um, if the trade entered has correct details, okay, if it has correct details, then what are the potential risks in the market? Is the customer who is willing to place an order, does the customer or the bank have a good financial background? Does it have credit risk? By looking at the customer, do I think he'll be able to pay that €1 for my croissant or not? Things like that. So this is what the risk management does. Then life cycle management, what it does is it tracks the entire life cycle of the financial instruments. Um, let's say the trade has entered. Okay, I agree that the customer will pay me the amount. Now it's my duty that I have to deliver everything in the right proportion. I have to I have to see if all the parties have made the payments. If that is done, then I have to make sure I settle those payments by giving back what I had promised, what Calypso had promised, and things like that. So everything comes into life cycle management from the time a trade has entered till the time the trade is delivered to the customer. And the last part is reporting. Now, okay, I know that my customer has come. I have to deliver something to him. And okay, I am happy. I get the money. The customer is happy. The customer gets the money. But we live in a society of the financial world, and there are hundreds and thousands of banks who are doing transactions. So the settlement has been done, but there has to be some proof, there has to be some record which says that all the transactions that have been made are in compliance with all the rules that have been set by the financial market. So that's when reporting module comes into picture. We say that all the reports, all the trades that have been done are compliant, all the risk analysis have been done, and everything, the entire trade has settled with the good results. So this is how the entire module of Calypso works in simple stages. These are the 5 key simple stages which any application will use. Currently, we are focusing on Calypso. Next, so as I said, consider Calypso as an ocean and the various financial instruments as the fishes. So let's say all of these are the alpha fishes in the ocean of Calypso, and all of them have their own family and role to play. So we have different alpha fishes or financial instruments, say fixed income, equities, derivatives, foreign exchange, money market. We all know these terms, but um, these are the main terms, like the main financial instruments. Now, of course, all of them have their families. So what are the families? So these alpha fishes have their own family. So let's say fixed income have products like bonds, treasuries, municipal bonds, corporate bonds. These are just four examples that I have shown here. There are countless number of fixed income products available in the market. In fact, in the US market, you will find over 200 varieties of bonds available um, with the US market. Then we have money instruments like repo and reverse repo. In today's presentation, we will see this in detail, these two products in detail. We have foreign exchange like spots, swaps, commodities like metals, energy, agriculture, and all of these. Now, Calypso, the most beautiful or amazing part about Calypso is it is customizable. So you name a product, you customize it, and Calypso will support. So these are just a few examples of the instruments. It and of course, if you have a new product, let's say tomorrow in the market, and Calypso is easily customizable, so you can then add it to the ocean of Calypso a new fish as well. So that's not a problem. So this is these are some very common trending products which are used across the banks across the world on these particular products. These are majorly traded products. In Calypso, in the client with which I work, we generally use fixed income and money market instruments. And I think most of the European market supports money market instruments and fixed income. Let's move on to, as I mentioned, we will see in detail what a repo is. So this is the definition of these two instruments of money market, repo and a reverse repo. Now we say repo. What is a repo? It's a repurchase agreement. Now, okay, what is a repurchase agreement? It's a big word. How do we understand it? So this is the financial definition mentioned that it's a short-term borrowing arrangement. One party sells and the other party buys. Okay, we will all read this and forget after the 1 hour of session that I have conducted. To explain it in very simple terms, what is a repo? Let's say I am in need of cash and I go to a friend and I tell him that, okay, can you give me $100 for 1 week? So he says, okay, I can give you, but what is the guarantee that you will pay me back? So I say, okay, I have a amazing bicycle or a bike. You keep my bike as a collateral and you give me $100. And I promise to take my bike back from you after 1 week. And in return, I will pay you back not $100, but $110. So he's happy, of course. In 1 week, I'm going to get to ride Nidhi's bike for free. And on top of that, I get $10 after the end of week. We both agree. I take $100 from him. I give him my bike. I use it for 1 week, and then at the end of the week, I pay back $110, and I take my bike back. Now, what is the catch here? If I'm not able to pay back that $100 after 1 week, my friend gets to keep my bike for $100, and I lose my asset or collateral to to my friend. So this is a classic repo arrangement or a repurchase arrangement. Now, why the term repurchase? I gave him my bike and I'm repurchasing it back from him, paying the amount, paying a certain amount which we decided in the first place. I took $100, but now I'm paying him $110. Perfect. This is the best and classic scenario of a repurchase agreement. The same thing happens with banks. The financial example we'll see in the upcoming slides. Now, what is a reverse repo? It's exactly the opposite of repo. Now, let's say I have excess cash. Okay, I'm very rich. I am in for this week. I do not need my $100, but I'm thinking, okay, my friend has a good bike and I want to use that bike and I have excess cash. So I will go to my friend. I will say, hey, I have excess cash with me and I will give you my cash in return as a collateral. Can you give me your bike? And at the end of the week, I will get my $100 back by paying you $10 extra, which is $110. He says, okay, wonderful. You have excess cash and I just have to give away my bike. And at the end of the week, you will only give me $110. Now, what happens is I get to use that bike for 1 week for my own purpose and leisure. If I go to the market and if I have to just buy that bike, it will cost me $500. But I just want it for 1 week. So why not just pay $10 to someone and ride that bike for 1 week? So I so we enter into this agreement. After 1 week, I'm happy. I've rode the bike and I give back $110, which he is in profit of $10. I get my money back, but I have just paid $10 for 1 week of bike. This is reverse repo. So repo and reverse repo. It's exactly the opposite. Now we will see how it works in the financial world. So let's say bank A is in need of cash. You can see it's in need of cash and owns a bunch of assets. It has, let's say, some bonds or commercial papers with it, and that's an asset for the bank. So what does bank A do? It goes to a bank B, which it knows has excessive cash. So bank B owns a lot of cash. So what can bank A do? Considering our example of the bicycle, bank A will say to bank B that, hey, I have some securities, some assets that I can give you as collateral. You give me some cash which you have in excess. So what is this arrangement? It's a repurchase agreement. It will go to bank B, take my asset. I will buy back my assets after 1 day or 1 month. Repo repurchase agreements are generally short term. It can be 1 day, 1 month, or a few weeks. So you go to the bank, okay, you take my asset, I will take it back tomorrow or after 3 days or after 1 month in X plus Y amount. Okay, bank B is happy, bank A gets to use the cash when in need. Now, bank A gives its assets, bank A is considered as the dealer, okay, or the borrower, and bank B is considered as the seller. So bank A gives its assets to bank B and bank B gives its cash full of truck to bank A. So they both have agreed into, of course, we have proper documentation and everything mentioned. It's just not that, okay, hey, I want money, give me, hey, you want money, I give it to you. So we enter into a repurchase agreement. Now, bank A, after, let's say after 1 month, bank A has has utilized the money. Now it's time to buy back its assets from bank B. So bank A gets its assets back from bank B. And now you can see bank B has even more cash because bank A has bought back its securities from B at a much higher price. Bank A received cash, Bank B earned some money in return. So this is a classic win-win scenario for both the banks when they enter into a repurchase agreement. Now, why will someone enter into a repurchase agreement when they have to pay back a higher amount when they have to collateralize? It's simple. When you are in need, you want money immediately and you have something in return to keep it with them so that they agree the that this customer or bank will pay us back. You enter into a transaction, you get the money when you are in need, and in return, you give you give back at a very less rate. If you go to a bank for a loan, you will get a much higher rate. But when you enter into a repurchase agreement, you decide the terms and conditions. Okay, at 0.1%, at 1%, at 2%, you decide the rates. Everything is decided, and then you finally enter into a repurchase agreement. Now, how will you define reverse repo in this scenario? In the example that I explained, of course, bank A will act as a repo, but bank B is acting as a reverse repo. As I said, it's exact opposite scenarios. So when someone is acting as a repo, the other party will act as a reverse repo. So what happens is banks B's intentions was always to buy securities from bank A and selling them back to bank A at a profit on a later date. That's what that's what I did when I gave $100 to my friend in return to use his bike and then paid back $110 to him. So that's what bank B has done. It took securities, it used the securities, and then took after the tenure is over, took the sold back the securities to bank A in return of money. So this is repo and reverse repo. So this is the classic way of how both of these instruments will work in a financial market. Now we will see how it will work in Calypso. So if you all remember, I mentioned how Calypso is working. If you remember, there were 5 phases or 5 stages of Calypso, including the front office, back office, middle office, and back office. So trade will come, there will be processing, risk, life cycle, and reporting. So in the same scenario or in the same fashion, we will see how both of these instruments are working in Calypso, repo and reverse repo. So both of them will enter into Calypso. It will go through trade entry, processing, risk, life cycle, and reporting. Now, how will a repo and a reverse repo work in Calypso when it has just entered? So for a repo trade, you need cash. If you recollect the example, when I gave my bicycle as collateral, I needed cash. When bank A had assets to give to bank B, it needed cash. So you need cash in repo. In reverse repo, you already have cash. I had $100. I wanted to enjoy the bike of my friend. I had excess cash. I gave my cash to my friend. So I have cash. In reverse repo, you have cash. In repo, you need cash. So you will tell to Calypso how much cash you need. And in return, what will I do? I will give my securities as collateral. The bank will give its securities as collateral. Now, we have to enter, or the bank has to enter, or the customer has to enter the details. Like Calypso will need details. It will never work. Okay, I need cash. I am giving you securities. You enter your details. You enter the amount. You enter the type of securities. You enter how long you want to enter into this agreement and how much money you need. So these are the details that you have. So of course, I have not added the screenshots or snippets of Calypso window because this is the first session and let's keep it simple. The windows, of course, when you're working on the window, everyone will understand how to play around. But if the basics are clear, it's easy to work on the windows. So this is how a repo trade will enter. Reverse repo, remember you have cash. So when you have cash, you you go and you tell I have cash and you have to specify which type of securities you want as collateral. Of course, you have money. The entire game in the world works on money. I have money. I am superior. I will decide which collateral or which security I want as collateral. So I will pick one security and I will say, okay, I have cash. You take my cash and give me the security in return. So then is the same like repo. You have to enter the details, amount, which security I want, how long I'm going to keep that security, and how much money I have with me. Okay, perfect. The trade has entered into Calypso. Now, processing. A repo trade has entered in Calypso. We have entered all the details. Now, what is the job of Calypso? We have to find a match. Customer has come. We have to find a match. How to give how do we provide the cash to the customer, because repo we need cash. So how will Calypso provide that cash to the customer? So we try to find a match. How to find a match? Calypso will look for a potential or prospective lender. What will a lender do? It will give its money in Calypso, and Calypso will hand over that money to me, who is in need of cash. um After a match is found, okay, bank A got someone as bank B. Good, we have found a match. Now, execution. As long as bank A has found its bank B, we will have to finalize the transaction. So, bank B should receive the securities as collateral, and bank A should receive the cash. So that's how execution will come into picture. All of this will have to be calculated and processed. This is what the processing, the middle office will do. The same for reverse repo. We will find a match and we will help in the execution. We will find a match. I have cash. So the Calypso will find a match for securities. Bank A is in need of securities. So bank B will give its securities. Bank A will give its cash. This is what processing will do. Now comes the risk management. We have So risk management, life cycle management, and reporting. These three parts will be the same for any instrument or any product if you have to consider. Currently, we are talking about repo and reverse repo. So it's the same for both. What will happen in risk management? We will monitor. As I had mentioned in the previous slides, we will monitor in middle office and in risk management. So we will see, Calypso will see if the trade, if the transaction that Calypso has promised for Bank A and Bank B, if both of the parties are going to be able to perform this transaction. We constantly keep on tracking if the collateral is secured, if the cash is secured, if the transactions are being made or not. We constantly keep on tracking this. And then finally, we ensure the compliance. Okay, we have monitored, we see the tracking is correct, then we will ensure that all the regulatory requirements, the financial market has to be followed on certain rules. So if the rules are satisfied, the policies are satisfied, then we are compliant. Until now, everything is smooth, we are compliant. Trade has entered, we have found the match for the trade, and now the risk is also compliant. We have no credit risk, we have no problems with both the banks. Now, if we have problems with any of the bank, you know what will happen. I am not able to give back the $100. I will not get my bike back. I have to forget about my bike. If bank A is not able to pay back to bank B, it has to forget about its securities. So bank B will enjoy the fruits of the securities from bank A. And the same works for reverse repo. So risk management will do this. Now, what will a life cycle management module do? It will track the trade duration, manage the events, and handle any changes that have been made during the process. Now, what what do we do? We track the duration because we need to make sure that if, let's say, tomorrow I want to buy back my securities in a repo transaction, Calypso has to make sure that tomorrow all the transaction will come, the settlements will happen, and bank A is able to pay back to bank B. So we have to track the duration. We have to manage the events. Yes, okay, now duration has come. Calypso cannot sit idle and see, oh my God, the duration has come. Now we have to suddenly start to manage all the events. No, constantly, every day, every minute, every second, Calypso is handling all the events. So the events are managed. Now we have to handle the changes. Let's say there are some changes. I have made some modifications. Okay, I have changed the date. I will not be able to pay back. So I have to inform well in advance. I've changed the date to, let's say, after 1 month, I will be able to manage. So this change has to be reported to Bank B, because Bank B expects the money tomorrow, but oh, I'm not getting it tomorrow, but after 1 month. So both the parties have to be informed about the changes made by any one of them. This is what life cycle management does. What does reporting do? At the end, after everything has been done, as I said before, the market needs to know the transactions have been settled correctly and that nobody has cheated any one of them. So we have to generate the reports. We have to give all the details, trade details, including the securities involved, which is the collateral, the cash amounts, the duration, everything. Compliance reports are generated and insights are given as per what was the trade performance, what was the risk exposure, etc. So this is how, when a trade will enter in Calypso, you will see how the trade has entered, how it has processed, how the risk was calculated, how Calypso handles its entire life cycle, and how the financial markets have been informed about both of these banks' details. Okay, so this is how the entire life cycle of Calypso and both the products have I've worked in Calypso, and I've tried to explain everything in very simple terms. And yeah, I have done a lot of talking. So luckily, the presentation is complete. We have 15 minutes as planned and targeted. So if anyone has any questions, or if anybody has anything to share, feel free and mute yourself. Mic is yours, floor is yours. And that's it from my side on the basics of Calypso. Feel free to pitch in, and if you have any questions,